We are live on... What is the name of this podcast again? Oh, yeah, I'm just kidding. Teach Me Bees. Hey, we're here with Teach Me Bees. It's me, Dave Wescott, and Scott, the beekeeper.
That's right.
And we got Ralph in the studio. What's going on, Ralph?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic.
I'm doing well today.
You know what? We've been we got a couple of things to talk about on the Beecast today, and we're talking about getting into hives.
Yep.
What that's like, that eerie getting into the beehives. And we're also talking about Africanized honeybees. Because Africanized honeybees actually make honey.
Do they?
They do.
It's in their name. I hope so.
Now, I follow a beekeeper online, and I'm not going to say her name, but it's a girl.
Okay.
Her pronouns are she and her. And you know what she does a great job, and she's located in Texas. And you know what, one of the things that she always does is she has all of these videos on Instagram and Facebook, and she's always going out to identify the bees. And one of the things that she says is, I've identified the bees and they were safe. This is a big deal. So she goes out and she identifies the bees, and she ensures that they are safe, because not all honeybees are nice.
That's true. Very true.
Have you ever been stung by a bee?
Yep.
When was your first bee sting?
When I was a kid in my grandma's backyard, I got stung on my ear.
You got stung on your ear.
Yeah. I don't know why they went for the ear, but they did.
I have this philosophy. This is one of the reasons I love bees, is that in my younger days, if I ever wanted to start up a good conversation with a round of females of the species, I'd just start talking about bees. Because
and that excited all of them?
I don't know if it excited them or terrified them. But the truth of the matter is, Scott, is that no matter what, everybody has had a bee experience. Like you just said, I was a child. I got stung in the ear at my grandmother's house.
Yeah.
What led up to this? Were you torturing the bees?
I don't remember a ton about it. I just remember there was a big tree in the backyard, and we were running around. Several of us kids were playing around doing something. We probably, without knowing it, stumbled upon a hive, then upset the bees, got too close. You know, it was a summer, nice warm day, so they were probably out. Maybe they felt threatened by us near their hive entrance. It was probably in the tree, and we just didn't know it.
Okay. You got stung on the ear.
Have you gotten stung?
Yes, I got stung. I'm going to tell you that story second.
Okay.
But first, I'm going to tell you a story about the bald-faced hornet.
Tell me about it.
Do you know the bald-faced hornet?
I've heard about it.
This is a nasty mother trucker right here. And I said trucker. This is a nasty bee. Bald-faced hornet. He is black.
Technically not a bee, though.
He is big, not a bee. And he's got a white face on him. Maybe Ralph can find a picture of him and show that online. Maybe he can help us out. A close-up of the bald-faced hornet. Bald-faced hornet is vicious. Bald-faced hornet will put you down. Okay? True story. We have some friends over. We're playing in the backyard as kids. We've got a juniper bush. Do you know what a juniper bush is?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's a big bush that's green, and it's kind of spiky, and it'll make you itch if you get into it too far.
Okay.
So we're playing in the backyard. We're playing football. Jonathan, this kid that we're hanging out with, boom, throws the football into the bush. Bald-faced hornets come out. Bam, bam, bam! Sting him 3 times. Homeboy goes down like he's been shot by a gun. And guess what? He's in the living room. He's getting prayed for. He's getting ointment on him. But it actually made him pass out, and he's swelled up.
Really?
Because the bald-faced hornet is a freaking killer. Okay? So, actually, I have to tell 2 more stories about bees. Dang it. Okay. So, bald-faced hornet, it attacks our friend.
There we go.
Does that guy look nice to you?
No, nothing about a bald-faced
Does that
hornet
guy
is
look
nice.
like he wants to hang out and say, hi, how are you doing? Or how's your cornflakes this morning? No, he wants to jack you up.
Yeah, they're like
picture
cousins
is
of the
making
yellow
me
jacket.
nervous behind
Cousin
you
of the
guys.
yellow jacket. They are nasty mother truckers. So, and this is a PG show, or I may actually say the word. But at the end of the day, so what we did was, because we were trying to stick up for our friend Jonathan, we did not know any better. My mom loved tea. My mom was a big tea drinker. So shout out to all the tea drinkers out there. So what we did was they're tending to Jonathan. We're little, okay? We're like 9, 10 years old. We don't know anything.
What was your grand plan? Go and attack the bush?
Absolutely. This is absolutely what we did.
This is war, right?
So what we did was we identified where the hive was because we had a deck that stood up above it.
Okay.
And we could see the hive.
Some recon here.
We did some recon. We gathered some intelligence. And like smart 8 and 9 and 10-year-olds, we went into the kitchen and we thought, they stung our friend. We're going to burn them with boiling water and kill them. So what we did
This is a good idea.
we took the tea kettle, we filled it up with water, we boiled it. It had a little whistle on the end of it. I used to love that whistle. The whistle went off, the water was hot, and we went, and we poured that on the hive, man. Boiling, scalding water. And those bald-faced hornets, I don't even think were affected, except they were pissed. And there was like 2,000 of these guys that swarmed out of that nest, and they were all over us. And I'll never forget, I had one on my neck, and he was bzzz, and he was trying to sting me. And I smacked my neck, and I killed him, and he fell off. And we shut the sliding door to the backyard, and neither me and my brothers got stung. But after that, we were done with that hive.
It's a fight you're not going to win.
At that age, we decided that we were not going in the backyard, and later at that point, my dad came out and sprayed it and killed it. Okay. That's story number one. The next story I need to answer is the one where you said, have you ever got stung before?
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yes, I can. I was playing beach football in the sand
Yeah.
with me and some guys and some gals. And it was shirts versus no shirts. And what happened was I was a no shirt.
Okay.
And I was playing on the
target.
beach. Gosh, I was looking so good too at that age. I mean, just a wonderful specimen of a man. Just absolutely unbelievable. But at the end of the day, this hornet, this wasp, whatever it was, flies down the backside of my pants, down my butt crack, and stings me 3 times on my exposed rump. The pain I felt was nothing like I've ever experienced in my life. It literally felt like, boom, gunshot right in my butt, dude. I felt like Forrest Gump running through the woods. I literally was lit up by this guy. Okay.
That's terrible. But just to be clear, you were wearing swim trunks.
I was
in
wearing
this
jeans,
football
bro.
game. Okay,
I was
okay.
wearing jeans in the belt, but there's a little crack that kind of gets, there's like my pants were all the way up. I wasn't sagging. My booty wasn't hanging out. But right down in your back, when you're fit and trim and muscular, there becomes a little wedge in between like your belt and the jeans and your skin. And this little guy
That was
went,
the weak spot in the armor. And he found you.
he found me, dude. He found me. And I probably did say the F word at that particular moment. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And, okay. So listen, I got to tell you this other story though.
All right. Tell me more.
Because the B cast is just like, we are all over this thing. So I'm at an estimate because in a previous life, I was a landscaper and still am to some extent. And I'm at a customer's house. This is no joke. I'm at a customer's house and we're walking their backyard about a cleanup.
Okay.
And we're walking through the yard and we're standing in some particular place of the yard. And I feel this atrocious pain in my leg. I mean, I'm talking a pain like I have not ever felt in my life. I mean, it literally, boom! Again, it's in my calf, and I'm just, trying to hold on. And then it happens again. boom, boom. And I'm in the middle walking this with this lady. And I'm like, listen, lady, there is something in my pants. There is something attacking me. I have to take these pants off. Boom, boom. It happens again. And I literally strip down to my undershorts in her backyard. She's freaking out like I'm some kind of weirdo. And I move my foot, and my foot was over the hole of a mud wasp nest. And they come flying out, and she's running. And they're everywhere. And I got stung like 8 or 9 times on my freaking leg, bro.
Wow.
And I mean, I am pissed. I'm in pain. And I write up the bid for like $1,100. She's like, it's approved. It's approved. I was like, yeah, I know I'm closing this deal. I just got friggin' annihilated in your backyard.
Should have doubled that deal.
I should have doubled that deal. It was just cutting the grass, man. I made like $1,000 on it. Anyways, so that's a bee story. And I got one more. Okay. I know I'm just killing time. I'm doing landscaping, and I'm working on this yard in Kirkland, Washington, and we're trimming these hedges. And my friend who's working for me at the time, this is when I first started my business, he's taking a hedge trimmer, and he's cutting the hedge in half, and he cuts a beehive right in half. Wasp nest right in half. Cut it right in half.
That's a good thing and a bad thing.
Boom, boom, boom. Stung 4 times on his hand. His hand swelled up like this. I mean, I'm telling you, it was 4 or 5 times.
Several inches, yeah.
It was 4 or 5 times the size of a hand. Like, his fingers were gone. And we had to give him Benadryl, and he actually had to be rushed to the hospital.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
He was highly allergic to bees. So what I'm saying is, and why this is important in the whole frame of today's call, is that you can always strike up a conversation with people about their experience with bees. I'm sure that you might have more experiences with bees that you didn't share.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, people ask, like, what is this new job I started? And I tell them I'm a beekeeper, and they're very interested. Tell me more. What does that mean? And that right there could start anywhere from just a casual 2-minute conversation to like 2 hours. We could talk about stuff.
Do you sometimes think it's too bad I got married at such a young age that now that you're a beekeeper?
No, I love my wife. I love my wife. So I'm good, man. I'm good.
Let's not get him in trouble on this call.
That's good.
Yeah, Selena, you're the best.
I wasn't getting him in trouble. There was no trouble here at all. I was just simply inquiring minds. This is a good question. I would have you know that I was just walking in here, and somebody asked me something very similar. Larry, who works with me, asked me something very similar.
Really?
And I said, no.
How dare you, Larry?
I'm not interested in X, Y, and Z. I am happily married. So I think the question comes up multiple times throughout the week.
You never know.
Are you happily married?
You know,
yes, I am.
As you were talking about your wasp, your battles that you've been fighting throughout your life, I want to share a brief story as well. David Lundquist, who will be on this podcast at some point here in the future, I was at his property. He's got a wedding venue, and I was helping him attach some kind of drill to his tractor. And he hadn't touched his drill in a couple years, just kind of like off on the side of his property. And then there's a couple trash cans in the way, and he's like, hey, can you just go clear that stuff out? Just move it for me. And this was this summer, so not that long ago. And I was like, sure, I'll move this stuff. I go to move this trash can. I put my hand on the side of it, and I get lit up on my arm, just in my hand, bang, bang. And I'm like, what just happened? Next thing I know, I'm getting stung 3 times on my left arm and once in the stomach by this wasp nest. These yellow jackets come flying out at me. And then I'm like confused on what just happened in the last 2 seconds. I walk away. They're swarming me. We shoo them off. We end up finding 3 different yellow jacket nests in like a 10-foot radius.
Dang.
And we sprayed them all down, killed them all, so that we could actually get the equipment we needed to do the project we needed. That was probably the worst I've had it in like such a short amount of time, just getting stung 5 or 6 times, all up my arm, in my stomach, etc. That sucked. I was numb for like an hour. just inflamed. And the thing about like a yellow jacket, a hornet, compared to like a honeybee or maybe even a bumblebee, bees will sting you one time, and that's it. Unless it's the queen bee, because she's bigger and stronger. The reason bees sting you once is because their stingers attached to their intestines. And so when they pull out of your skin, it actually rips them apart and they die. They could sting insects, animals to protect themselves because like those things are not as strong.
They don't desire to. They don't want to sting you.
That's like a last resort. A yellow jacket or a wasp, however, that doesn't kill them. They will sting you as many times as they please, which is why they are the worst, and we don't like them.
That's right. And, so the fact of the matter is that when you're not married, striking up conversation at any particular time, and you tell your bee story, it's always good. Because what I found in my life is that everybody has a bee story. Just like you have a bee story. Everybody has encountered a bee. And the thing about building relationships is that it's all about creating commonality. And
find common ground.
People create commonality around bees. It's one of the greatest things you can ever talk about. I love bees. Now, we have to make sure we stay on par with or on course with what we're doing here.
That's right.
And so we are talking about today one of the things we're talking about is the African killer bee. And the truth of the matter is that these Africanized killer bees, so-called killer bees, they are in, Arizona, California, Texas, Nevada, New Mexico. They have 6 legs. They are approximately half an inch. And that's how you tell the difference.
Wow.
Is the size.
That's a
they're
big
a
bee.
little bit they're golden yellow with darker bands of brown. That's how you identify them. But you need to identify them, especially in those states, because they are making honey. So they are pollinating. They are doing a good job. They are doing what they're supposed to do. Basically, what happened was they had bees from southern Africa and bees from Brazil, and these bees mated in the 1950s. They escaped from quarantine, and they showed up in 1985 in an oil field in California. And then in 1990, the first permanent Africanized bees arrived in Texas and Mexico. And that's really their origin. But they look so close to the normal bee that, like I was sharing, I follow this gal on Facebook. And, when you were looking at these, you really have to ensure that you identify them the right way. Africanized honeybees are dangerous stinging insects that have known to chase people for more than a quarter mile once they get excited and aggressive. This is why they earn the nickname killer bees. They can take down. He's got a picture
that's a good picture, Ralph.
Of a bee. That's very nice. They can take down a small child. They can kill a child very easily. They can take down a calf.
They're very aggressive.
Very aggressive. And so as you're looking at bees, like these bees do a good job. So, they are doing what they're supposed to do, but they're just vicious in nature. So not all bees are nice. And the attack that you will have with this bee is going to be much different than with our sweet Italian Saskatchewan bees.
Yeah, our bees are going to be. Yeah, here in Western Washington, we don't have these.
No, we don't have these killer bees.
We might have some that are kind of aggressive at times based on their DNA or maybe time of the year, the season, but nothing compared to these bees. And I've heard specifically the ones that reside in Texas are very, very aggressive. So sometimes beekeepers get so comfortable with their hives and just with the practice of being a beekeeper that they don't even wear suits anymore. Maybe they'll wear some gloves. Maybe they'll wear like a head cover. But a lot after, 5 years, 10 years, they just won't wear suits because they're so comfortable with their bees. You cannot not wear a suit. You have to wear a suit with these bees. That's how aggressive they are. No matter how comfortable you are with them, they will come after you,
and
because they are
bee
always aggressive.
That you wear today wouldn't protect you from the killer bees.
I wouldn't want to get in there.
From my understanding, the killer bees, they have a very thick plastic suit. It's
I
very
think it's
thick.
a different kind of suit.
It's very rubberized.
Similar probably to like a yellow jacket suit, like if you're an exterminator.
If you're an exterminator, yes. Africanized killer bees look so much like domestic honeybees that the only way to tell the two apart is by measuring their bodies. Africanized bees are slightly smaller than their counterpart. They are golden yellow with darker bands of band. Listen, if you're not sure what kind of bee it is, and we just need to throw this out there, if you're not sure what kind of bee it is, don't go investigate the bees on your own. Hire a licensed pest control professional and have them look at the infestation. Don't try to examine the bees or measure the bees on your own, because you could get hurt, in this,
especially
in this particular deal.
And if you're allergic, or maybe you don't know if you're allergic, it's probably worth getting tested. And if you are allergic, have an EpiPen around. Be safe.
Yeah, have an EpiPen. Do you know, is this bee that we've shown on here, is this a nice honeybee, Ralph, or is this a killer?
That is an Africanized honeybee.
And the thing is, he looks so friendly. I want to pet him.
Antenna.
I don't want to pet him.
He's fuzzy.
I want to just give him a little touch.
So be aware of the bees that you are.
Be aware of the bees.
Be aware. Every time we say bee, it's always a little extra.
Be aware.
Bee.
Be conscious. Be careful of your trailer.
That's a joke for another time. But we want to also talk about getting in the hives and being with bees. As I mentioned, some beekeepers do get so comfortable that they don't wear their suits. They don't wear their gear. They may not even smoke the bees.
Smoke the bees?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You get them high?
Probably not. I mean,
No.
in Washington, who knows? But no, traditionally you have a smoker.
Because I got high.
That is some kind of metal. We actually have one up here on the shelf here. It's this metal container where you put fire starter, bark, whatever. You light it, and then you close the lid, and it's kind of like a cone-shaped lid that it funnels out, and there's a thing you can squeeze air into it to get the smoke to flow out, and that is to calm the bees, to get them to stop flying around as much and kind of rest. I've heard that it simulates a wildfire, in which they stop swarming and flying around, and they retreat to the hive and hunker down.
This is very interesting. I want to issue another warning. If you have small children and they're driving you crazy, do not try to smoke them.
No, they probably won't respond the same
This
way.
could be potentially dangerous. If you smoke me, I'm just going to lay on the couch and eat Doritos. Put the lime in the coconut and light that stuff up. Have you seen that movie?
No.
You haven't seen?
I don't think
There's
so.
this movie with my favorite little guy.
Little guy.
He's small. He's African American.
Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart. He is so hilarious.
Yeah,
there's a movie where he gets to be he's like your best man at the wedding. Right?
Okay.
Like, you don't have a best man. You're not cool enough to have friends. You hire him to be your best man. He comes in. His name is Chet.
Man for hire?
You've seen this movie, right, Ralph? Yes. Ralph has seen every movie. He's a movie. What's up with this movie,
connoisseur.
Ralph?
Not every movie. I can't remember the name of it, but I can see it. I can see the poster.
It's like My Best Man or something. It's with Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Just Google Kevin Hart Best Man movie. Put the lime in the coconut and light that stuff, because they're on a plane and they're singing this song over and over again, and it will get in your head. I am not a smoker of the marijuana, but this song will get in your head. I'm into
song
bees.
has left a mark.
So what my whole point here is: do not smoke your children, even though they can be wild and crazy. When are you gonna have kids?
It's gonna be a minute. It's gonna be a minute.
It's gonna be 4 years.
We'll see. Something around that.
You have a little nephew now.
I have a nephew and a niece. Yes.
Oh, you have two little babies around.
in the family. Yep.
All from the same mama bear?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
None of the other sisters are having babies yet.
Not yet. For the record, there's 4 sisters with my wife, so there's 5 daughters. Just for everyone who's unaware of the family.
So there's 5 females.
5 females. Yes.
One of these mama bears is now a mama bear. Has little bear cubs running around.
Yep. Elijah's
You're waiting
3.
4 or 5 years.
Elijah's birthday is actually in the next couple days, so he's about to be 3. And
do you like Elijah?
Yeah, I love that kid.
Okay.
He actually listens super well,
Good.
which is refreshing. There's some kids I've been around that do not listen. So, yeah,
we get a little personal on this call. That's what's going to.
You're going to get to know us.
That's what makes us. That's what. Sometimes we're going to have some awkward moments when we're talking about bees. Anyways, we smoke the bees. We get into the beehive, and
yes. So you're going to want to be suited up when you get in, especially if you are new to things. And there's variety of quality of suits. We got one that's more low ventilated, so when you're in suits for a long time, there's a little more airflow, and it's not as heavy on your body. But you can.
Are you a person that sweats a lot?
I think normal amounts of sweat.
I mean, because some people just drip
like a river,
buckets of
flowing.
sweat.
Yeah, I don't think I'm that guy, but I do sweat.
That's good. I know a guy who just. I mean, you look at him and he sweats. You know what I mean?
I know a couple of guys like that.
You know, like at the end of the day, like that's not the bee suit I want to be around. I am a non-sweater, so like I can run a marathon. I probably won't even sweat.
You might sweat then.
In a bee suit.
In a bee suit, yeah, for sure. But get your own bee suit. Don't share a bee suit. Then you don't have to worry about the sweat issue. You know, it's your sweat.
You also don't have to worry about COVID.
That's true. And so you'll take off your hive cover, use your hive tool, which is a really cool like multi-tool. It has one end that's curved that you can kind of pull the frames up. We have a frame up here on the wall, and you can pull that up. And there's the other end is meant to kind of pry open the boxes because they get stuck together with honey and nectar and stuff in the hives. And so you use your smoker to smoke the bees, use your tool to open things up, and then you're in the hive. Have you been in the hive before?
Yes.
Okay. What is your experience like? Are you anxious? Are you excited? Are you in awe? Are you terrified?
Well, being the beautiful specimen of a man that I am fear nothing.
Fear nothing.
So I just want to lay that out there first.
Of course.
Second of all, the first time that I was in the hives, I didn't wear any gloves.
Okay.
So I will have you know that my hands were bare.
Did you get stung?
The other thing that I will tell you, no, I didn't. The other thing that I will tell you is that being a 330-pound beautiful man that I am today, getting into my bee suit is freaking hard. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, it took me about 12 minutes to get in that thing. I mean, I'm like all stretched out like this. My wife's helping me. My kid are pulling on a shoe. You know, like getting in a bee suit for me.
It's a bit of a process.
It takes a hot minute because it's like, what are those little suits that you used to wear when you were a kid and you'd go to sleep and they've got the feet jammies?
The onesies.
The onesies.
Onesies, yeah.
That's exactly what a bee suit is.
Yeah, it's a onesie. Yep.
It's an adult onesie.
So, like, fitting in a onesie at 330 pounds is like, you know, it takes a special man to be able to fit into that thing. I actually feel like Gumby when I do it. So, I get in, and I didn't put my gloves on.
Intentionally or unintentionally?
Unintentionally.
Okay.
I think I would have normally worn my gloves.
Okay.
But I'm in the hive, so I was slightly worried about my hands.
Okay.
Getting stung up. That was definitely a
and
concern.
they could probably fly into your suit.
And they could fly into my suit.
Which kind of defeats the purpose.
But I'm like Candyman, so just bring on the bees. There's another movie reference. That movie will actually terrify you at 11 or 10 years old. Candyman, the first one. It is very scary.
Kids don't watch it.
Kids don't watch it unless your parents are into horror movies. So I'm in the hive, and I will tell you that it's kind of intimidating the first time that you're in the hive.
For sure. For sure.
Not necessarily the the bees, but there's this stigma that bees are dangerous. There's this stigma that bees are powerful. Bees are going to sting me. Bees are going to hurt me. Bees are not calm. Bees are not gentle. Bees are not loving. Bees are not nice. That's kind of the, like,
sure.
oh my God, there's a bee around me. I'm going to run. It's in my hair. Oh my God. Right?
Yeah.
You haven't necessarily, even though you know honeybees are nice and calm, the fact of the matter is you haven't really accepted this your first time in the hive.
And there's thousands of them.
Thousands of them. And they are swarming around your head.
For the record, the buzz that you hear is just them moving. That doesn't mean
it's frightening,
anything
though.
bad.
And I want to take you back to this time.
It is associated to
when I was 9 or 10 years old, and we filled up the tea kettle with boiling water, and we poured it on the bald-faced hornets. And that bee was on my neck, and he was and he was trying to kill me. And I killed him first. And so, literally, I'm in the hive for the first time, and it takes me back to my childhood at 9 or 10 years old. Yeah, I had it's like an PTSD acid flashback.
You got some traumatic
experience. And so, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed being in the hives for the first time. I had a great time. It was amazing to see the little bees. Bees are kind of like my pets.
Okay.
And since my experience with them was no gloves, we became very close. And I feel like I bonded with all three of the hives. And I will say that, you know, I was right next to you. I was 3 feet from you last week when you were working in the hives filming a video.
You didn't have a suit on.
I did not have a suit on.
You're braver than some.
And I was actually okay with it. Well, Dave Lundquist, your father-in-law, was like, Dave, get closer. Dave, get closer. Dave, get all up in there. I'm like, Scott has the bee suit on. Like, what are we doing here, man? And, you know, but he was egging me on to get in there.
It was a quick thing. Wasn't in there very long. Trying to just feed him.
Yeah, you were just feeding. You're just pounding in some sugar water. But, you know, being in the hives is a great thing. You're seeing how they're doing. You're checking them out. You're seeing what help you need to give them. You know, and, I mean,
yeah, so
that's a good question.
When you get in the hives, and, like, probably the most important thing as a beekeeper, as I'm learning, and just anyone out there, is your ability just to get in the hives. You know, you have to do a lot of other stuff and get equipment and build things and have supplies to give them and different stuff. But just being in the hive, and you don't want to be in the hive like every day, and sometimes not even every week, because the more you get in the hive, the more you disturb their building process, their growth, and so you got to be selective, but also know it's kind of based on time of year, how young the hive is, what the weather's like. You really don't want to get in there when it's less than 60, 65 degrees. If you are, make it quick. You know, just as the temperature drops, bees don't do well in lower temperatures. So as you're in the hive, typically you're looking, is there honey? You know, what time of year is it? Towards the winter, do you want to make sure they have food? If you're going to harvest honey, you know, depending on how many boxes you have stacked up, more than 2 is typically just excess honey for you to harvest. So you're looking for that. You're looking for brood, which we talked about last episode, honey versus brood a little bit.
We eat brood like caviar.
And we do not do that.
No, that was a lie.
And that just determines, are bees still being reproduced? Are they being birthed?
But I want to eat brood.
Maybe you can try it, but it seems weird to me.
Have you ever had caviar?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, then it can be weird until you've had caviar.
Okay. Have you had caviar?
Of course I have.
Okay. All right.
I eat it every time I get into my Lamborghini.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet. And
it's a little too cold to bring out the Lambo, brother.
Okay. All right.
It's a little too cold to bring out the Lambo.
But then you're also looking for the queen. And sometimes you just can't find the queen, because kind of her job is to be protected and be hidden. So not every time you get in there will you find the queen. But if you see brood, if you see new eggs being laid, that means the queen's been in there the last 3 days. Probably she's just fine. And so get your hands out of there before you upset them all the whole time, you know.
You know what? There's right on the outside of this building, there's an eave that goes up like this. You can actually see a wasp's nest that is about the size of a pancake. and you can actually see the brood. You can see 50, 60 little brood bubbles on the bottom of this hive.
Oh, we're going to need to take care of that.
Yes, that is definitely something we want to take care of. But the brood, and now that I think of it, that brood did not look too good. You know what's interesting is that when a lot of professional pest control people eliminate an invasive species of wasps or hornets or whatever, you know, they'll take the old hive, they suck it in through a vacuum, and then a lot of them you see in their videos they post, they take it home, they feed it to their chickens. Chicken feed.
Interesting.
I've seen it in many videos, like people taking massive hives and giving them to the chickens. So it's just interesting.
It is Mother Nature, circle of life.
The circle of life. I feel like we've really accomplished a lot on this call.
Like,
anything else about getting into the hives?
You know, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be anxious. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you are. And the calmer you are, the calmer the bees are.
Yeah. Now,
so just take those little nuggets as you may get in a hive one day yourself.
I'm going to tell you one other story.
Okay. Closing story.
I'm working for a company by the name of Land Crafters. They're a landscaping company in Seattle. I'm a lawn mowing guy. I'm probably 18 or 17 or something. And I have a route that takes me through downtown Seattle. And you know the houses in downtown Seattle, you know, they're all early 1900s, you know what they look like. You know what I mean? They're 2-story. I don't know. What'd you call that? Craftsman style houses? Craftsman style houses. Small backyards. You know, smaller or the size of this studio. And I look at the address and I pull up to the house and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, there's no front yard. And I go in the backyard and there's like probably 10 beehives back there. And I'm like, what the frick is this? You know, I'm kind of irritated. I'm like, I can't mow it, so I got to line trim it. So I got to line trim around all these freaking beehives. I was like, this is not cool, man. So I get out, I start up my trimmer. I'm just trimming. I trim the whole backyard. And, you know, I'm like, okay, well, that was cool. Bees were, you know, whatever, kind of around me, but didn't really bother me because I just needed to get my job done. So 2 weeks later, I come back to the same house and I'm like, okay, I got to do it again. So I go back out there and I'm start up my weed whacker and I'm weed whacking in the backyard. Guy comes out, what are you doing in my backyard? Those bees, man, they're gonna sting you. Go get out of here. What are you doing? Why would you be trying? I'm like, listen, your house is on my list. He's like, this is the wrong house. I don't have pay for this service. Get away from my bees. Get away from my bees. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these bees. And then I start to like notice, and there's like a lot of bees out everywhere. I didn't really notice it until he said that. And so I leave and I call the office and I'm like, hey, what happened here? And they're like, oh, sorry, we got the address wrong. It's the house next door. I was like, dude, you guys almost killed me, man. There's all these bees in the backyard. Oh, they're like, oh, we're sorry. Get back to work.
And with that,
that's it. I mean, what I'm telling you is there's always another story about bees.
Be careful.
Be careful about bees.
Share your stories.
Share your stories about bees. Use them to pick up that person you might be in love with. Your crush, if you so will. Anyways, bees are fun. This was a great show. Listen, we're going to be back next week. Same bee time. Same bee channel.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining. Have a great day. See you later.